What if I told you that the most powerful men in the world are not the ones who feel no emotion, but the ones who can master it in under 60 seconds? They don't suppress anger, fear, or anxiety. They transmute it. They possess a mental tool, a protocol, that 99% of men will never discover. A method that allows them to stand inside a storm of chaos and remain the calm, strategic center. This isn't a genetic gift. It's a learned skill. Today, I'm sharing that skill with you. It's called the 1% protocol. It is a modern application of a powerful Stoic secret designed for the psychological warfare of the 21st century. Before we begin, I want you to answer one question in the comments. What is the one emotion that derails you the most? Acknowledging the enemy is the first step to defeating it. Let's begin. Look around you. The world is a battlefield for your attention, engineered to trigger your emotions. Every notification, every headline, every social media feed is a calculated assault on your focus and your peace. This constant state of reaction is the new slavery. It makes men weak, impulsive, and predictable. They are tossed around by market fluctuations, by a difficult email from their boss, by a careless word from their partner. They believe their emotional responses are authentic, a sign that they feel deeply. This is a dangerous lie. Your unmanaged reactions are not your strength. They are the strings a chaotic world uses to make you its puppet. The ancient Stoics understood this, not in the context of smartphones, but in the context of plagues, wars, and political collapse. The principles are the same. The man who is not master of his own mind is not a man at all. He is a leaf in the wind. This video is not about history. It's about taking back the controls right now in this hyper-stimulated world. Let's first dismantle a common myth. Emotional control is not about becoming a robot. It is not about feeling nothing. A man who feels nothing is a psychopath or a liar. True strength is feeling the full force of an emotion, the fire of anger, the ice of fear, and choosing not to be consumed by it. The majority of men operate on a flawed binary system. Either they suppress their feelings until they explode, or they express them instantly and destructively. Both paths lead to ruin. Suppression creates internal sickness and unpredictable blow-ups. Instant expression makes you a slave to the moment, easily manipulated and prone to regret. The 1% protocol is the third way, the way of the master. It's the path of observation, analysis, and deliberate response. It's the difference between being the storm and being the unshakable lighthouse that watches the storm pass. The foundation of this entire protocol rests on a single, powerful Stoic concept that most men hear but few truly understand: the dichotomy of control. But let's call it what it really is: your circle of power. Imagine a small circle drawn around your feet. Inside this circle are your thoughts, your judgments, your decisions, and your actions. This is your kingdom. You have absolute authority here. Outside this circle is everything else: the economy, the weather, what other people think, what they say, what they do. You have zero authority there. The root of all emotional chaos every single time is trying to control what is outside your circle. It's raging at the traffic. It's being consumed with anxiety over a co-worker's opinion. The 99% waste their entire lives fighting battles outside their circle. The 1% focus all their energy on mastering the kingdom within. So how does this translate into a 60-second protocol? It begins with understanding the gap. Between an external event and your emotional response, there is a space. For most men, this space is infinitesimally small. A trigger happens, and the reaction is instantaneous. An insult is thrown, and anger fires back. A piece of bad news arrives, and panic sets in. The protocol is a method to intentionally widen that space. In that space lies your freedom. It's where you transform from a reactive animal into a strategic human being. The next time you feel a powerful negative emotion begin to rise, your first 10 seconds are not for fighting it. They are for creating that space. This is the most crucial and most difficult first step. It is the conscious decision to not be immediately hijacked. It's a mental full stop, a circuit breaker. Step 1 of the protocol, the acknowledgement. This takes place from 0 to 10 seconds. The moment a strong emotion hits, you do not push it away. You do not judge it. You simply name it, silently, to yourself. This is anger. This is envy. This is fear. By naming it, you separate yourself from it. You are no longer angry. You are a conscious being who is experiencing the sensation of anger. This subtle linguistic shift is a psychological superpower. It moves the emotion from the core of your identity to an object you can observe. It's like a scientist looking at a chemical reaction in a beaker instead of being the chemicals themselves. You are the observer, not the observed. This act of dispassionate labeling immediately lowers the emotional intensity. It's the first move in taking back control from your primitive brain. Step 2 of the protocol, the interrogation. This is the longest and most critical phase, from second 10 to second 40. Now that you've created space and named the emotion, you become a detective. You cross-examine the feeling with 3 simple, cold, logical questions. Question 1. Is the trigger for this emotion inside my circle of power? The answer is almost always no. The trigger is an external event, another person's action, a piece of information. This question immediately reinforces the Stoic foundation and reminds you where your true power lies. It shifts your focus from the uncontrollable external to the controllable internal. You stop thinking about changing the world and start thinking about managing your response. It's a pivot from powerlessness to power. The second question of the interrogation is this: what is the objective reality here, stripped of my story? Our emotions are rarely caused by events themselves, but by the narrative we attach to them. A colleague doesn't reply to your email. The objective reality: an email is unanswered. The story you tell yourself: he is ignoring me. He thinks my work is unimportant. My career is stalling. This story is the source of your pain. The Stoics called this impressions or judgments. You must learn to separate raw data from your interpretation. Ask yourself, what are the bare facts a security camera would have recorded? This practice starves the emotion of its fuel. The drama, the ego, the fear, they all live in the story, not in the facts. This is how you dismantle the bomb before it detonates. The third and final question of the interrogation is the most profound. What is the most virtuous or effective response? The Stoics were obsessed with virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. In a modern context, you can ask, what response aligns with the man I want to be? Or, what action will lead to the best long-term outcome? This question pulls you out of the reactive past and projects you into a strategic future. It forces you to consider your higher self, not your basest instincts. The angry response might feel good for a second, but is it effective? The fearful response might feel safe, but does it align with a courageous life? This question isn't about what feels good. It's about what is right. It's about playing the long game. It transforms a moment of crisis into an opportunity to forge your character. Step 3 of the protocol, the directive. This is the final phase, from second 40 to second 60. You've created space, named the emotion, and interrogated it. You now have clarity. The emotional fog has lifted. In these final 20 seconds, you issue a clear, simple command to yourself. This is your directive. It could be an action. I will walk away and draft a calm response tomorrow. It could be a conscious decision for inaction. I will say nothing. This does not require a response. Or it could be a shift in perspective. I will choose to see this not as a threat, but as a challenge to practice patience. The directive is the final act of reclaiming your power. You are no longer being told how to feel or act by the world. You are telling yourself you are the commander of your own mind. Let's run a real-world simulation. Your boss publicly criticizes your work in a meeting. The initial trigger, humiliation. Anger. The 99% man either lashes out defensively or shrinks in shame. His day ruined. The 1% man deploys the protocol. 0 to 10 seconds. Pause. Name it. This is anger. This is embarrassment. 10 to 40 seconds. Interrogation. 1. Is his opinion in my control? No. 2. What are the facts? He said these specific words. My story is that I'm a failure. The facts are just his words. 3. What is the effective response? To remain calm, listen to the feedback, and address it professionally later. 40 to 60 seconds. Directive. I will listen, nod, and ask for a private meeting later to discuss the feedback. I will not let this ruin my focus. In 60 seconds, you have transformed a potential disaster into a demonstration of unshakable professionalism. This protocol is not a magic pill. It is a mental muscle. The first time you try it, you will likely fail. The emotional hijack will be too fast. The second time, you might catch it after 3 minutes instead of 60 seconds. This is progress. Every time you practice, you are carving new neural pathways. You are literally rewiring your brain to favour deliberate response over mindless reaction. Think of it like lifting weights. You don't start by bench pressing 300 pounds. You start with the bar. Practice this protocol on small annoyances. Someone cutting you off in traffic, a slow internet connection, a misplaced set of keys. Build the muscle on the small things so that when the big crises of life arrive, the protocol is second nature. It becomes your default operating system. A critical aspect of mastering this is understanding the nature of emotional debt. Every time you have an uncontrolled, reactive outburst, you incur a debt. You damage relationships. You harm your reputation. You make poor decisions that you have to clean up later. It's like spending money you don't have on a moment of fleeting satisfaction. The 1% protocol is a tool for emotional solvency. It prevents you from going into debt. By taking 60 seconds to process, you save yourself hours, days, or even years of fixing the damage caused by a few seconds of impulse. A calm, deliberate man is a man who is always in credit. He builds trust and respect because people know he is reliable and not at the mercy of his moods. His power compounds over time. There is a deeper level to this that separates the practitioner from the true master. The master begins to apply the protocol preemptively. He identifies his common triggers. He knows which people, situations, or thoughts are likely to provoke a reaction. He then runs the protocol in advance like a fire drill. When my difficult client calls, I know I will feel frustration. My directive will be to listen more than I speak. This is the ultimate strategic advantage. You are no longer just defending against emotional attacks. You are anticipating them and preparing your defenses. You walk into volatile situations with a plan, while everyone else is walking in with their raw nerves exposed. This is how you dominate your environment, not by controlling it, but by being impeccably prepared to control yourself within it. Many will hear this and say, "This sounds exhausting. Why do all this work?" This question reveals the slave mentality. They believe that being a victim of their emotions is the easy or natural way. They fail to see the immense, chronic exhaustion that comes from a life of reactivity, the constant stress, the anxiety, the regret, the fires that need to be put out. That is true exhaustion. Practicing the protocol is not an expensive energy. It is an investment. It is the work you do up front to create a life of profound calm, clarity, and efficiency. It is the discipline that creates true freedom. The easy way is a trap. It's a short-term comfort that guarantees a lifetime of struggle. The hard way, the disciplined way, is the path to an inner peace that the 99% cannot even imagine. This protocol also fundamentally changes your perception of other people. When you see someone else lose their temper or spiral into panic, you will no longer see a monster or a fool. You will see a man who has been hijacked, a man who does not possess the tools you now have. This will cultivate a sense of calm detachment, and in some cases, even compassion. You cannot be personally offended by the outbursts of a puppet. Their reactions are not about you, they are about their own lack of internal control. This perspective makes you immune to the emotional poison of others. You can navigate toxic environments and difficult personalities without being infected by them. You become the emotional anchor in any room you enter. Let's talk about the physical component. Your mind and body are a feedback loop. When you feel a surge of anger or fear, your heart rate increases, your breathing becomes shallow, your muscles tense. This physical state reinforces the emotional one. As part of the first 10 seconds of the protocol, the acknowledgement, you can layer in a physical circuit breaker. The most powerful one is your breath. As you name the emotion, take one. Slow, deliberate breath. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 4, and exhale through your mouth for 6. This simple action sends a signal to your nervous system that you are not in immediate physical danger. It short-circuits the fight or flight response and makes the mental work of the interrogation phase infinitely easier. Master your breath, and you are halfway to mastering your mind. A warning: as you become proficient in this, people will notice. Your newfound calm will be unsettling to those who thrive on drama. They may try to provoke you, to test your limits, to see if the new you is just an act. They are subconsciously trying to pull you back down to their reactive level. This is a critical test. When you successfully deploy the protocol under deliberate fire, you pass that test. You demonstrate that your internal state is no longer up for negotiation. It is non-negotiable. This is when you earn a new level of respect. It might be grudging at first, but it will be real. People are simultaneously intimidated and drawn to those who possess a quiet, unshakable core. The ultimate goal of the 1% protocol is not just to manage negative emotions. It is to build what the Stoics called the inner citadel. This is a fortress within your mind that is impervious to external chaos. Every time you successfully use the protocol, you add another stone to the wall of this fortress. Over time, it becomes so strong that fewer and fewer things can even begin to breach its walls. The triggers that used to send you into a rage become minor annoyances. The fears that used to paralyze you become calculated risks. You spend less time defending and more time building. Your mental energy is freed up to focus on what truly matters: your purpose, your growth, and your contribution to the world. Consider the strategic implications in your career and life. In any negotiation, the person who has greater emotional control holds the power. In any crisis, the person who can think clearly while others are panicking becomes the leader. In any relationship, the person who can absorb conflict without reacting destructively is the anchor. This isn't just about feeling better. It is about being more effective. It is a tangible competitive advantage. The world rewards those who can maintain their composure under pressure. The 1% protocol is not just a wellness tool. It is a weapon for success. It is what allows you to make logical, long-term decisions while everyone else is being swept away by short-term emotional currents. You must also apply this to positive emotions. Yes, even joy and excitement. The undisciplined man is just as much a slave to his elation as he is to his anger. He gets a piece of good news and makes rash promises. He experiences a moment of victory and becomes arrogant and complacent. The protocol applies here as well. Acknowledge the excitement, interrogate its source and its potential consequences, and then issue a directive for how to enjoy it without letting it cloud your judgment. A Stoic is not a pessimist. He is a realist who seeks to maintain equilibrium in all circumstances. This eustatheia, or inner stability, is the true prize. It is the mark of a man who is truly free, both from his sorrows and from his fleeting triumphs. So as we conclude this journey into the protocol, understand this. This is not a life hack. It is a philosophy embodied in a single powerful action. It is the distillation of centuries of wisdom into a tool you can use today in the next 60 seconds. The division between the 99% and the 1% is not wealth or fame or luck. It is a line drawn in the sand of the mind. On one side are the men who are slaves to what happens to them. On the other are the men who are masters of how they respond. Today, you have been given the key to cross that line. The only remaining question is whether you will have the discipline to turn the key, not just once, but every single day, until it becomes who you are. You now possess the protocol, the 60-second sequence to dismantle chaos and forge an unbreakable mind. This is the difference. This is what they don't teach you. The most important takeaway is this: your freedom is not determined by your circumstances, but by the space you create between circumstance and response. In that space lies your power. In that space, you become the master of your soul. This is not about being emotionless. It is about being the one in control. You are not a slave to your feelings. You are their commander. You are the 1%. Thank you for investing your time with a community that values strength and wisdom. If this protocol resonated with you, subscribe and join the few who are serious about this work. Share this video with one other man who needs to hear this message. And now, I leave you with a final directive. In the comments below, state the first area of your life where you will apply the 1% protocol. Make the commitment. The work starts now.